Cartesian coordinate graph. That's what this is. And I'm going to talk very, very basic right now about the Cartesian coordinate graph. It's not as hard as it might look to people who have never done this. What this horizontal dark line here is, it's like a number line. It's just a number line. Here is the 0, and everything to the right are positive numbers. This is the 0. Everything to the left are the negative numbers. Okay? Now, that is like the number line that we've used for a long time. But in the Cartesian coordinate graph, they also have another line going perpendicular to that line, and it's just like another number line. Almost, it can remind you of a thermometer, maybe. And here's 0 degrees, and everything going up are positive numbers. Everything going down are negative numbers. Okay, so that takes care of what these numbers mean. They're just number lines. Now, they decided to name these number lines so you will know the difference between the two. And they have named the horizontal axis. It's called an axis, and it's the x-axis. Okay, axis is, this is what I'm saying. The x-axis. The x-axis. And similarly, they named this one the y-axis. Now, this will always be the case. So there's not something that they will change later. It's this until it's that, and this will always be the x-axis, the horizontal number line, and the vertical number line is the y-axis. Okay, now you notice that this graph has been divided into sections. 4 sections. You're most welcome. 4 sections. 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. These are called quadrants. Quadrans. Those are the 4 sections of the Cartesian coordinate graph. So, and they are numbered because, and I'm pretty sure on the GED test, they're going to refer to some quadrants. So you need to know which is which, okay? So we start with the top right up in here, and this will be quadrant number 1. Now they use Roman numerals. This is quadrant number 1. Let's see how far down you can see here. I'll just do this one. This is quadrant number 2. Can y'all see that? My computer has some people's faces there. I'm just trying to move some stuff. Hang on. Because I don't know how much you all see. And some of my menus are covering over. There we go. We'll do this. All right. Okay, so this part down here is quadrant 2. And as we move around clockwise, this is quadrant 3. And lastly, this is quadrant 4. It's Roman numeral for 4. Okay, quadrants. So they may ask you something like, which points are in quadrant 2? And then you would name, oh, it's point number A and point K or whatever. All right? So those are the basics of how this Cartesian coordinate works, the graph. And now I'm going to explain to you how I think of this, and it might help you. I look at this like a map of the city, and each one of these represents a block. You know, I walk 1, 2, 3 blocks, 4 blocks to go somewhere. So if you can think of it that way, sometimes it helps when you're plotting points. Now, the next thing I think about is at every intersection, right here, there is an address. Just like mine is 6603 Elkhart, okay? And you all have a physical address where maybe you get your mail, but definitely where you live. Each one of these is going to have an address. Now, the address will look like this. I'd better go the other way, running out of room, okay? The address of each intersection point is called, they are called the coordinates, or a coordinate point. This is the address of each intersection. And the coordinates, let's see, okay, it looks like this. The address looks like this. It will always be in parentheses with a comma. And the value that's in the left-hand side will always be how far you traveled on the x-axis. Okay, it'll always be the x value. But your address is not complete until you tell them how many blocks you have traveled up and down or in the y direction. This is the horizontal direction that you would be moving, vertical, I'm so sorry. And this is the horizontal direction that you'll be moving. The x is always first in a coordinate point and the y is second. Okay, so when we begin to move to certain addresses on the coordinate graph, we will always move in a horizontal direction first. Now, each one of these things, it's very, very basic today. Each one is called a coordinate. So these are coordinates. So what they'll do is say, this one, what is the x coordinate? And then this one, of course, if they ask, will be the y coordinate. Have to abbreviate that. Okay, but a coordinate point will always have the parentheses. It will always have a comma. The x value will go first and the y value second. So let's see how this works now. On your handout again, let's find out where the address 1, 3 is on our coordinate graph. So we're going to find 1, 3. And I even like to say, okay, where's the house that's at that address? We'll look and see. I have to change it back and forth, guys, from chalk to marker. This 1 is the x value, which is how far we go left or right. This is the y value. It's how far we go up and down. Now, we have to have a starting place. A starting place is right here in the middle. Right here in the middle, where this was 0 and then the positives and the negatives. Remember, that was 0. And negatives and positives, that's 0. So this spot, our starting point, is 0, 0. I don't know if you can see this green. It's 0, 0. And we will always start there when we're plotting points. That green's so I'll juggle two of these. And so our starting point will always be the origin. It's called the origin. That means where everything starts. And the origin address is 0, 0. Okay, so we're ready to graph this point 1, 3. The 1 is the x value. So the 1 will be however much we travel on this number line. We start at the origin. It says we're going to go a positive 1 on the x-axis. So if I start here, I go a positive 1, but that is not the house because I need the full address. And so when I get here, I have gone a positive 1 on the x-axis. Now I need to go 3 blocks up or down. Now, if it was a -3, I would go down. It's a positive 3 for y. So now I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. My stopping place now is this place, this intersection point. That's the address 1, 3. So on your paper, which point is at 1, 3?
A.
A, that's exactly right. Point A is at 1, 3. Let's do one that has a negative in it. Let's look at number 10. Okay, number 10 is -4, -3. Okay. So let's try this one. Okay, the x value that you move on this number line says, we always start at the origin, and it says we're going to move in a negative direction, so it's going to be negative numbers. So on this number line, I need to move in a negative direction 4 places. So I start at the origin, and I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. But remember, that's not where we belong. That's just where we turn. Now it's time to go up and down because the y value goes up and down. It says to go -3. If I go up, those are positives. If I go down, they're negatives. So this time I'm going to go down 3 blocks. Okay. And so from here, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And this is where I belong. The address for this, or they call it a label. You're labeling the point. -4, -3 is right here. And on your worksheet, which one is that one? -4, -3, what point?
L.
L.
So that's what you're going to do here on the first part of this worksheet. Let's look at the bottom. Now this time, they give you the letters and they say, tell me what that address is. So let's do D. I want to do D. I'm going to put it on our big coordinate graph. It's right here. This is point D from your worksheet. So tell me how to label that, or what is the address? The way that you do this, we always start, let me get some of this stuff off of here. We always start at the origin and move horizontally, move to the right and left. Okay? So if I start at the origin, how far, if I want to go to this house, how far do I need to move left or right?
1 block.
I'm hearing Doris, but I'm not hearing what you said.
1 block.
Yes, yes, 1 block, and I'm going to go to the right because it's positive. So I'm going to move here from the origin, but that's not the whole thing. Then it says, how far, okay, let me write this somewhere. Oh yeah, right here. So I moved a positive 1 block horizontally, but I still want to get to this point. So now what do I have to do? Lanny,
You move down 1 to
now how
negative
many?
1 block down to -1. Is that
Right.
right?
So -3, I think.
-3, see it?
-3. Oh, okay.
From this point, I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And I went down, so it's a -3. So this is the address for point D. Y'all see? Is this something that is okay?
You know, I
Yes.
said that at first, but looking at your board and looking at the paper, it looks like you're barely moving blocks.
Yes.
Like,
yes,
so
I
it
can't
confused me.
get much closer.
Yeah.
So I knew that you knew, so there had to be something going on.
Yeah, because on my paper, I said it's -3, but it looks like there, when I look, I guess because the squares are so little, it looks like you're moving 1 block.
I've seen you do this before quite well. So I knew there was something. Okay, there is one more that I want to address. I want us to find this point. 0, 4. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Okay, so I want us to find 0, 4. Now, if you'll break this down and go slowly, you will be able to do it just like we did the other points. If we start at the origin, which we always do, the x coordinate tells us we're going to move no blocks on the x-axis, so I'm still here. Then the other one says I'm going to move up and down, up or down 4. In this case, it's positive, so I'm going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the point will be right there on the y-axis. So be very careful with coordinates that have 0 in them. Let's look at this one. Chalk and the marker keep moving. Okay, let's go -2, 0. Let's go find -2. Uh-oh. There we go. -2, 0. I want to find this point now. So let's move. I think these are too light. So this is our x coordinate. This is how far we move on the x number line. So I'm going to move in a negative direction 2 blocks. Here's the origin. I'm going to move 1, 2, but I still have to go this on vertically. It says I'm already there. I'm not going to go anywhere on the y. So the point, and I don't know if you can see it, let me know, is right here. Do y'all understand that part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are you okay, Luanny?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Now, what I sent you, page 1, page 2, you should be able to do. Page 3, okay, let's look at this one. This is page 3, the ones that that I printed and numbered. And this, it says grid S1. So it's wanting you to know about quadrants now. The question down here says, write the points that belong in quadrant 1. Okay, so which one is quadrant 1?
The
Valerie?
top right.
Top right. So what would you name for the points that are in quadrant 1?
It's gonna be A,
A,
D,
D is right.
E,
What is it?
E.
Actually, now that is something that I need to clarify also. That is on an axis. And so down here, that's where you list
Oh, it's gonna be on the
these
x-axis.
points, okay? So don't list the ones that are actually on the axis. They are not in the quadrant. So finish for me.
F,
You A, D,
F,
F,
S.
and S. Good job, Doris. Okay. We don't name any of the points that are on the axis. They ask for that later on down at the bottom. That's where you list these on the x-axis and on the y-axis.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Okay.
So you know what to do there. Let's look at the next page. Oh, this one you can do for fun and relaxation. This just creates a picture. When you follow the instructions here, right here, says plot and join the points in this order. So it's a real good idea not to plot all of them and then try to connect them afterwards. You plot this point, then plot this point and connect those. Then plot the next one and just connect it as you go. Because I know from experience, if you try to plot all of them and then connect them, it's a mess. Okay, this is just practicing plotting points. It's kind of a fun way to do it because it comes up with a mystery picture. The only thing different about this one is now, do you see right here where it says ordered pairs? Ordered pairs are simply the parentheses points. This is an ordered pair. This is an ordered pair. That's what they're talking about. So it says plot each set of the ordered pairs. So you're going to plot 3, -1 on this graph right here. And then you're going to also plot this point. So you're going to have 2 points on this graph. And then it says join the points. Join the points together. That will give us a line segment. And then the last part is something I need to show you now. It says find the length of that segment. Well, that doesn't mean we're going to use a ruler. There is a formula, and you'll be glad to know that this formula is pretty easy to use, and it is also on the formula chart that you will get in your test. So you don't have to memorize it, you just have to know which formula you're looking for. And that's what you're going to do all on this page. Okay? So let's find out how to find the length of a line. You'll have to do some moving back and forth. So okay. I'm going to choose 2 miscellaneous points. Looks like I will get you right now. Thank you for calling. I think that's going to work. I kind of need some, if I don't let you guys in, call me. That's going to work. All right, we're going to find the length of a line on a graph. Now, if I have a point here, and then the other graphed point is here, and I join it with a line segment, then it's easy to find the length of this line. It's simply 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? So the distance or the length of this line is 8. But what happens when you have these 2 points and you need to find the length of that line segment? Can you all see what I'm doing? Let's go.
No, ma'am.
There we are. Is that better?
Yes.
This is easy, but if they are slanted in some way, we don't know how far this is, and we don't know how far this is. So they gave you a formula to find the length of a line segment on a graph if you're only given the 2 points. So I'm just going to make up some points here. Well, no, better not. It's sad when I do that. Let's do number 1. I'm on this page, and I'm simply going to plot these points on the graph up here, and then I will show you here where it says find the length. Then I'm going to show you how to find the length of the line segment. So
What page number?
this is, if you number them, it's page 5.
Okay.
It looks like, did you number yours, Sherry?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I'm going to do number 1. Number 1 says to plot these points, -1 and 3, 4. So I'm going to have 2 points here on the graph, and all my erasers and my markers and my chalk. Play hide and go seek. All right. So let's plot 3, -1. I started the origin. I move 1, 2, 3 spots, and then go up and down 1 because it's a negative. So here is where you will have your first point. Oh, this one's easy. Okay. And the other one, I'm going to plot that point. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now they started out with one of these that you can find the length of this without doing the formula. Because when we join this, join the 2 points, and that's what you'll be doing on this page with this beautifully straight line. And then we want to find the length of this little line segment. Well, we found out just a minute ago, if it's up and down or horizontal, you can just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what I want to do here is use this example and show you the formula so that when you get to some of the others that you can't count, you know how to use the formula. Okay. This is it's called the distance formula. So if you want to, you can write that the length of a line segment is the very same thing as the distance from one point to the other, because we're going to use the distance formula. This is the distance formula. Now, it looks pretty stinky right now. Ah, there we go. Better? There we go. So for this, I'm going to put the points back up. We had 3, -1, and our other one was 3, 4. Now, if you'll remember what I just told you that a coordinate point has the X first, then the Y. So this one also has the X first and then the Y. Since this has X's and Y's in it, we don't want to get the Y's mixed up or the X's mixed up. So we just number them. I'm going to call this one X1 and X2. Now, these aren't exponents. They're not exponents. They're subscripts that just mean that's part of the name. Okay? So we're naming our X and our Y coordinates just so this is Y1 and Y2. Just so we don't get them mixed up. We know which number to use where. So now all you're going to do is follow the pattern. The distance, or remember this is also the length, equals. So D equals. And we're just going to copy and plug in values where they need to be plugged in. Y2 is 4 minus Y1 is -1. Remember to use that, the minus from here, the negative from here. So sometimes you're going to have both of those together. Plus, let's go find X2 and put it here. So X2 is 3. Yeah, minus X1 is 3. And I finish this out by saying that answer will be squared. We have this long radical, but what we're going to do is work what's inside first. Then we will take the square root. So we're going to move on. Still square root, but now we're going to find out what this is equal to right here. Minus a negative. Are we still where you can see? Can y'all see everything?
Yes.
Yes.
Minus a negative can be circled up, what we call circle up, and make it a positive. 2 negatives together like that will make a positive. So I have 4 plus 1 is 5 squared. It's 25 plus, now let's do this one. 3 minus 3 is 0. And 0 squared is 0, right? So 2 more steps. I'm going to add these together. In this case, it'll just be the square root of 25. And the square root of 25 is 5. So the length of this line segment that connects these 2 points is 5. Now, in this case, we were able to find it out by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you can see that the formula gives you exactly the same answer as if we counted. There's just going to be times that you can't count on the graph. Let's do one of those. Any questions so far? No? Speak up if you need it. We're going to do one of these problems off your worksheet that You can't count. So let's do, They actually fixed every one of those so you can count them. My suggestion on this page, which is the same one I was talking about, page 5. What I suggest on this one, when you plot these points, you will always be able to count those. So I would count them, then I would practice using the distance formula, just like we just did, to start to practice the distance formula. Everybody got it?
Yes.
It's a good way to get an introduction to the formula. And then here we go. Now they're going to give you different lines and find the length of each one of these lines that's all over the page. So what we're going to do is look at the first one. It says, find the length of segment. This line across the top means segment AB. So you look for these points. So you go all over this graph and find A, B. So we're going to use this. Now I'm going to put it on our graph and then go from there, and I'll show you how to find the length of this. So B is at 3, 7. And A is here. Now it said, they've already joined them. This is your line segment AB. So when you're working these problems, it says to find the length. Well, you cannot find the length until you know what the coordinates are of A and the coordinates of B. So let's do that. If I start at the origin and I want to end up here at point A, I want to end up at point A, I need to move horizontally first from the origin. Here's the origin. I'm going to go in a negative direction because I want to get to this point. So -8. -8. Chuck. So I have -8. This is point A. -8. And when I come here, how far did I go up? A +4. And point B, I have to find the coordinates myself. I want to get to this point. I start at the origin and I move 1, 2, 3, a -3. And from there, I move up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so to find the length of the segment AB, I'm going to use these coordinates to put in the distance formula. So here we go. This is X and Y. This is X and Y. I have to number them so I know where to put them in the formula. So I have distance equals, okay, square root of Y2 is 7 minus Y1 is 4. And don't forget to put the squared on it right here. Plus X2 is a -3 minus X1 is a -8. So we have another one of those squared. Now all we have to do is the math. So I've got distance equals 7 minus 4 is 3. 3 squared is 9. The plus comes here. Now we need to be careful here. 2 negatives makes this a plus. So I'm going to have 5. 5 squared, sorry. Inside the parentheses, this is 5 squared is 25. So D, doing our steps, I add these together and get the square root of 34. Now in this case, that's not a perfect square. And so we're going to use our calculator to find the square root. Okay. Square root of 34. Okay, now when I did this on my calculator, this is what I came up with. Well, that doesn't help me. Okay, because the instructions tell me round my answer to 2 decimal places. Well, on this calculator, we have a toggle switch right here. And I can push the toggle switch, which will change this to the equivalent decimal. Okay. And just so you know, the toggle switch will go back and forth if you need it to, from a decimal to the square root, from a square root to the decimal. What they want on this page is they want your decimal answer to the nearest 2 decimal places. So that means we're going to use the 5 and the 8 and the 3, but we have to look at the next number after the 3 and see if it needs to be pushed up to a 4 or leave it alone. In this case, 5.83 will be your answer for the length of this line. And you will see this, instead of a straight equal sign, it's like a curly. That says approximately equal to. That means you rounded it. So the answer will be 5, there's a piece of tape, 8, 3. Will be the distance of that line. How are we doing? Are y'all okay with what we're doing?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anybody that needs more help? The only other thing in this worksheet packet that I sent to you is the midpoint formula, the midpoint formula, where you have to find where the exact middle of this is, probably right in here somewhere. You have to find the middle. But we've started with one equation, and I would like for you to just use that formula today. All I want you to do is learn about plotting points today, joining those points and finding the distance. That's it today. So if it says anything about finding the midpoint, wait for tomorrow. Just wait and we'll talk about the midpoint tomorrow. It is very easy to do, but I don't want to confuse. So what do you all think today? Do you think you can handle for a while?
I'm saying yes with an ease because I finally got it.
Good.
Remember, I would cry. I would literally cry. I would cry. Yes.
I remember. But you've got it now. So try to whip out those pages. It's just the last couple, I think, that says something about midpoint. So don't worry about that until tomorrow.
Okay.
All right. Doris, you fine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sherry, are you wanting to stay on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And the other 2, you guys can stay on too. I know that you just usually don't. And a reminder.